Hey, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Kwanzaa, Festivus, you know, Hanukkah. Anyway, thought I would put out a video real quick, just because this bike got done a lot faster than I had thought. This is, of course, if you remember this bike at all, this is my GT LTS that I've done a bike check on. It wasn't a shredded edit, sort of. Actually, it was. And so I decided, if you remember, it was spec'd out in full XTR shifters, derailleurs, whole thing. Fortunately, one of the shifters, or actually both, started getting really wonky. So I decided, I think now's the best time to just redo and make a different kind of, or build the bike the way I was kind of hoping I wanted to do it. So I'm gonna go over the bike. This is a quick bike check. It's gonna be front to back. So here we go. Up front, changed the cockpit out big time. Of course I still run race face half Nelson grips. You know, I'm trying the letters facing this way just because I kind of like how they feel this way, you know, in this direction. So, and these are my favorite grips. These are the race face half Nelson grips. They have a single lock-on clamp here. Feel real nice, wet, weather, dry. Especially, this is actually December 25th, so I'm literally filming this on Christmas Day. And this is like the one day actually hasn't been wet or super nippy, so I'm taking advantage of the weather. So I thought I'd share with you guys the update on my bike. Here, also I'm running a Shimano Z 10-speed shifter here. I like it. They're the most reliable shifter I have. You'll see a lot of them on my 10-speed, or on a lot of my retro bikes that I run 10 speeds on. I like these shifters. Real easy to set up. They're crisp. You know, super easy to set up. You know, and so that's why I use these a lot. Plus, you can get these for about roughly 22 to 30 bucks. If you go to a local bike shop, it will be a little bit more, but it shouldn't be too much. Like Jensen has them for 22. My local bike shop had them for 28. So and of course I'm supporting them, and so I went with that. Also, they sold me on the P&W lever too. Originally the GT LTS does not come with a 27.0, or it comes with a 27.0 seat post. But the only thing is, dropper post, the smallest diameter you can get right now in the year 2020, the greatest year on earth, no kidding, is a 27.2. So what I did is I went through P&W's cycled program. Refurbished droppers can be had for not that much money. I shouldn't take that back. You're not paying full price. So I was able to get this for roughly 107 bucks, plus I think the 15 bucks shipping, which is less than the $200. These are brand new, and it comes with a 1-year warranty. And P&W is pretty good. This is a little different. I am running this dropper post backwards, and the reason for that is, if you can see here, it's really nice and tidy. Runs through here. It doesn't get too much in the way of the linkage, just this part, but you know, make and do. It's good. It's fine. It's better than running up front, believe it or not, and then just route it here, because running it up front, if you move it here, even if you raise it up, this cable on the back side where my finger is going to start rubbing every time this thing articulates. Kind of experimented with it for a while, and this is a better route to go. The only thing is, if you're running it backwards, right, your seat post bolts run a little bit funky. So what happens is, I don't know if you can tell on the top, had to file that, the guys at GHY Bikes, Kai at GHY Bikes, shout out to him, he filed this bolt down because the front will run pretty long, and so, and the rear one, there's enough thread to get it in. So and the reason I'm only running this saddle, I'm waiting for an SQ, I'm eventually going to get an SQ Lab saddle for this, but I swapped this out with the one on my Zaskar, because I've actually been also riding road bike on my mountain bike, and so the SQ saddle is a lot more comfortable than this Pro Logo. And this is like, I think the roughly the 147 length or width on here. I always emphasize sit bones, and so 147, 150 is about a good sit bone width for me. Here I also run, I decided I was gonna not do V-brakes. I'm gonna start moving a lot of my V-brake bikes to rim brakes, or I mean to the Magura HS33s. So, and I love these brakes. These are super easy. The new HS33s are a lot easier to use than the old school 4-lever HS33s, the original. They're not as tool free though, because you can adjust it right here, you know, bring the lever in a little more, things like that. But these are pretty clapped in, you know, so and they feel like a disc brake. Like, they're impressive for being a rim brake, how nice they feel. I love them. And the stopping power here is ridiculous. Up front, shout out to Greg Mackenzie over at Butter Suspensions. I'll put a link to all the companies that I use to keep these cool bikes going. But I bought this Marzocchi fork off of another Zaskar 26-inch classic frame. Be on the lookout for that in the future. And it came with this fork, and I wanted, I figured if I was going to rebuild the bike, I might as well slap on a really cool fork with it too. So this classic Marzocchi bomber fork, super easy to adjust. I think these feel better than the XC28s. They dial in real nice. I just love them. And these are the brand new Enduro seals. Enduro makes seals for the bomber fork. So and you know, I mean, this, when I got this fork, I had Greg break it down to see if it was even rebuildable, because sometimes you can have a fork that goes up and down, it has squish, but you end up, all the internals get really scratched up and banged up, and it, you know, it's not really a great fork to rebuild. So he looked at it, rebuildable, and so let's go for it. This is actually like a 100mm travel fork. It's impressive. It complements the Risse Racing Astro 5 damper in the back. This is in, I don't know if you can see if there's the lettering, but it's like, this is the downhill position, and the way you work the Risse Astro 5, you can get this for about, there's this lever kind of in the way because it's so tight in here, but then you just move it and it'll give you a firmer setting. It's good to have small hands, and then you just move it to a firmer setting. There is no lockout, but it's a really nice wrist shock. You can get these for I think, what is it, 198, 298. I think closer to maybe, I want to say maybe 250, 300 right now. RisseRacing.com. If you do decide to, if you have an LTS, you want to rebuild one, or replace the rear shock, if you have the coilover spring and nobody wants to service it, or you don't have parts, give Risse Racing a call and make sure that they're there. You know, just because of COVID times, and see, and then let them know that you're planning to put an order in like immediately. You just want to make sure, if you do, that there's somebody there, and they can confirm that with you. So don't send emails. I think a lot of emails fall through the cracks that they're on their inbox, so just give them a call. Here I still kept the race face XC series, what they back in the day, the XC series ride cranks. These are the 175 length. It was originally a 2x. I put in a 1x system. It's a race face narrow wide ring. Keep in mind, if you are running race face, or anybody that's doing conversions, if I had made this mistake, and this is what I get for running it on it cheap, I bought it at $15, actually it was a $12 narrow wide generic ring. It does not fit on here, because the tolerance was real tight, so it wasn't flush, and so if you tightened it, chainring would have been crooked, so that's why. But this has been a very nice, dependable crank. Just make sure, if you have something like this, or you have the issue like I did with your bolt coming loose, just apply some Loctite and it should resolve it. Here I run a budget SRAM PC 1051 chain. These are real nice and inexpensive chains. You can get these for about $20–25, and the Recycled Cycles bike shop that I use, when I trade in old parts, when I strip down bikes or sell out parts, you know, I can usually use the store credit from the used bike parts to, you know, and I apply it to getting something new like a chain. So you know, but these are more of the inexpensive chains, and I like them just because I can work the a chain tool, but these quick links, if you just need to dial them in more and more, like cutout links or whatever, this just makes it nice, especially if you have the link removal or a master link pliers, you know. So these are a good buy. I like the SRAM ones. I also like KMC power links. It's just that these are a little more on cheaper. So here I run this is a Sunrace cassette, so I think it's a CSX3. As you can tell here, this is a 42 tooth in the back, and it's mated to a 10-speed Shimano Dior derailleur. The only thing is it doesn't run a goat link, and mating this can get tricky. So what Kai at GHY had to do, if you know this, the B screw here is actually inverted, so just to eke out like a few more millimeters to get, you know, the derailleur out further. You know, if you run the goat link on here, it runs a little bit lower, and then you're a little more prone to snagging stuff. So this has been working fine. The only thing, it's as good as you can get for running a 42 cassette, hence I don't like running 46s. So when you pedal in the biggest gear, it will grind a little bit. So it's a sad issue, but for the most part, you know, I'm not usually hanging out in that gear anyway. You know, so, but I did want, previously I was running a 34 tooth in the back, and I just wanted something where I could climb a bit easier. Oh, I should say, and then up front is a 32 tooth chain ring, because I do pedal around town, and sometimes you just run a little bit out of gear. So that's why I do that. Also, I should have mentioned, for the HS33 brakes by Magura, this is nice. You just, if you're trying to pop out like a tire and it's a little too much of an issue, what you can do is you flick this lever, unit pops, actually the whole unit pops out, and then you can just move it. I like it, and the pads are real nice and easy. So when you remove the tire or the whole wheel, you can, replacing pads is super easy. You literally pull them off and you can snap them into place. Also here, I should say, I'm running needle bearings. Old school GT LTS bikes used to run bushings, and well, a lot of GT bikes run bushings, which kind of drives me a little bit nuts sometimes on the older bikes. Now the 2020 LTS stuff, you know, it runs bearings, but you can't, there's a company called BETD, or they're also known as Gold Tech. They make needle bearings to replace the bushings here and down here, and it works. It improves the ride a lot. It's a lot more responsive. I shouldn't say a lot more, but it's noticeably responsive. So and quieter. So in the summer, you'd grease the bushings maybe a week later, you know, to be noisy. So that's, if anybody ever had these bikes, the noise was probably one of the big issues, especially if you lived in the hotter climate areas. So you can do that. Also, I should say, I forgot, I got caught up in the seat post, but to do a seat post to fit a 27.2, I actually took a reamer, an adjustable reamer, and I bored this out. I reamed this out to, from a 27.2 or 27.0 to fit a 27.0 down to fit a 27.2. The way you do that, you have to be really patient, because if you carve out too much material, this thing's gonna just, you can't even tighten this, it'll always be loose. So just take your time. I got a flex zone. I got the idea from the guy who does Cobra frames. You know, I watch a lot of his bike fab stuff, and that actually, he inspired the idea for me to try this, and I love it. It's pretty cool. It works. I've done it with a lot of my retro bikes, because a lot of the trails I ride, there are jumps, drops, and things where I don't feel comfortable high posting, so this is a good option. You know, you get the cutting fluid, adjustable reamer, and a flex zone just to smooth out everything, because once you hit these weld areas when you're doing your reamer, it can catch, and so the flex zone kind of is able to kind of smooth that out so you can go further, because the insertion point of this will go roughly about here, and even here, believe it or not, the welds on here actually kind of extend on, you can feel it catch on the inside about that length. So just, if you're going to try this trick, there's a lot of wall material on here. I think when I measured it, it was like 2.5, and so when I remeasured it after doing the 27.2 conversion, it was still like roughly about 2.4, maybe 2.35 or something, but I wasn't shaving off too much. And you know, I think it's fine. The whole seat post is in here, so I can't imagine it being too much of an issue. And if it is, you know, I'd rather have a bike. I always say this, I'd rather risk, like, it's not, if it cracks, I think it would be like kind of a bummer, but I just want to have a bike that I really want to enjoy, like, full on. And if that's a risk, and that's a risk I'm willing to take. Here on the handlebars, running a Core 720 wide. That's usually my preferred width. I run a 720 wide handlebar. This is on a 31.8 millimeter race face stem. At some point, I will replace this with a Paul's boxcar stem, like a polished one. Like, yeah, that'd be awesome. And just, yeah, it'd be sick. And then I've been trying to find some Chromag. Chromag doesn't do this anymore, but they make foo bars, and they had some chrome ones. I actually have some chrome ones running on RTS, and I just love them. But if I could find some chrome handlebars that are of a reputable brand, you know, sometimes I make bad choices on my handlebars, but if I can, then I'll do it that way. So and then, you know, my $4, my $12, my cheapo looks indestructible water ball cage. This is held up. It wasn't a lot of money at Performance Bicycle, so oh, I should have said, sorry, I'm jumping around. On the HS33 brakes, if you want them, I think you have to shop around. The prices are all over the place, so sometimes you can find them on sale for roughly even 80 bucks. It's pretty rare. Usually it's like a return item, or up to, well, into like 165. So shop around for HS33 brakes. They're really, really nice. These are the 2-finger lever. They also make them in a 4, but I like the 2 because see if I can, I mean, gosh, even with just using that much power, you can flex out the rear. It's crazy. They just have so much power to them. Also, let's do the dropper demo. It's kind of cool. This lever, I'm impressed. Probably one of the lightest levers. I love Paul's stuff because it's really durable. This is really comfortable though. If you're especially very barehanded, I do most of the time except in the winter. But yeah, like very, very light and smooth. I would say it's smoother than Wolf Tooth and Paul's. But the thing I like about Wolf Tooth is, with Wolf Tooth, I don't know about P&W so much, but the part here, if you crash, this lever breaks off. Wolf Tooth has a $5 piece, and you just replace out that part. Paul's, it's a big hunkering piece of aluminum, and it looks pretty robust. So I think if you crashed, you probably scratch it, but I don't think you would. I can't imagine. You'd have to go pretty hard and fast to break that thing off. I think the rest of your bike would be destroyed before that lever. So, and I think with P&W, I think it's a good lever overall. I think so if you want a robust lever, I would go with the Paul's. If you're going for smooth and just all around, like you're not really riding too hard, or maybe you are, but this is nice. I would like to know how it turns out in the long term. The Paul's one actually has done well. Same with Wolf Tooth's light action lever, and this is surprisingly lighter than I think. It articulates a lot, and it's a lot more sensitive, or not a lot more, but it's noticeably more sensitive than the light action lever. So I'm kind of impressed and surprised at the same time. But that is it for the bike check for my GT LTS. I'll do a shredded edit. Here's now shy. Anyway, that is it. I thought I would put out a Christmas video update. I put this up on my Instagram, and I just wanted to share with everybody, like, you know, I wanted to redo this build for the longest time. I'll do a shredded edit if the weather can stay like this. Probably not, because I think the rain clouds are moving in now that I've entertained riding. So as always, also I still kept the Volta Zero Light 26-inch wheels. I don't run tubeless. These are I actually run 29er tubes because I have a bunch of bikes, and I have a bunch of bikes, and I use and yeah, the biggest wheel says 29, so I actually just run 29er tubes with 29er Tuffy liner. Adds weight, big deal. I mean, if anybody's seen my size, you guys know I can afford to lose a few. So and I run the Forte tires. I think I'll replace these with the Vittoria Mezcals. I can find them. CST makes a Rock Hawk. I've heard good things about them. I just know that, you know, these tires are starting to wear, and probably more because I'm gonna ride the hell out of this bike. But I mean, this is awesome. Like, I really, the RTS build came out nice. This has come out really gorgeous. My next plan is I'm gonna talk with Colin Stevens, and we're entertaining. I have a spare swing arm and a spare chainstay, because if anybody's considering getting a GT LTS, if anybody's considering getting a GT LTS, one of the parts that does crack is the chainstay, and it's usually around the pivot area, so you have to be really careful with these, and that's why I have a spare. But also I have the 95 swing arm, which can't accommodate this or a V-brake, because you can tell how tight it is here. On the 95s, this brace would be, I think you couldn't fit it in there. I want to say you'd have to do away with this. But this is nice though. And I talked to him, thinking about doing a brace, a disc brake. So we do a brace here, or he'd weld a brace and a disc brake tab. I don't want to do the drilling and any of that stuff. Some people do it, looks botchy. I just wanted to have something that looks almost factory, or prototype-ish. So that's why I might go that route at some point in the future. And then there I would replace this Marzocchi. I know that people are like, you can remove the brake bosses, but the thing I hate is I hate this post sticking out. I like a cleaner look on my frames if I go front disc, and that's why you see I always buy a disc dedicated fork and one that's not room brake compatible. I just really like that cleaner look in there, because then it even if you remove the bosses, it still, I don't know, still sticks out, and it bothers me, and I don't want to have a bike that bothers me. Oh, I should have forgot. I'm like pointing at everything. Chris King headset. You know, bought it at Recycled Cycles when I traded a bunch of old parts. But yeah, that is it for my bike check. If you have any questions, you're entertaining a build, or doing some kind of wacky thing like reaming out your seat tube to fit a dropper post, and you know, you kind of want to know how to do it, I can give you some pointers, I think, I hope, or some useful information. And so feel free to drop them in the comments box. Other than that, I hope all of you have a very Merry Christmas. I think I'm gonna do a GT LTS to LTS kind of race, or sensor to sensor something, but GT LTS to LTS thing, Windmasters did a really good one. I can't match that, but at least maybe on my local trails we'll see how fun, or how much of a time difference there is with a guy like me with horrible fitness. All right, have a happy holidays. I'll see you folks in the next year. All right, say bye.